time to change hands as the deputy mayor.
Big Bible. I, Debbie Rose, do swear that I will diligently, faithfully, and to the best of my ability execute, according to law, the office of Deputy Mayor for the town of High Prairie from August 15th, 2016 to April 15th, 2016.
Why don't you move over a bit so that we want the screen and, yeah. Actually, just maybe raise your hand and look at it.
Both hands like I give up.
There we go.
No,
Good.
it's smiling Brian.
She should have, you know, a stick that gives her height in behind her.
Stick that gives me what?
Your height, you know, as you, all of the increments. You don't get it.
Like I've grown here, or?
No, she's like.
Like in a crime shot, Brian,
Oh,
classic,
big slide, yeah. Oh, I got.
or a mug shot.
Do we have any additions to the agenda? We have a in camera. But that's on here, yeah. Anything else?
Our scheduled delegations.
So we don't have to make any changes, that's just fresh out. So we're gonna motion to pass it on.
Move to adopt the agenda as presented.
All those in favor? No scheduled delegations, do we have any public delegations? Just visitors, any delegations? Simone, you don't have anything? No, you're just here. Protective Services report. Welcome.
Evening council. Do we have to move this?
Yes,
Good.
go ahead.
Wait a minute for
We'll make a motion. Councilor Gilroy.
I make a motion that council receive the senior peace officers' June and July 2016 report for information.
Do you have anything to report, Constable Brown?
Just for the month of June, we did a couple patrols for the North Country Fair and the Astral Harvest. Nothing out of the ordinary there. It was pretty tame, pretty quiet, so to speak. Other than that, just curious to see if my percentages here are.
So we'll just open up for questions?
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions on Mayor Cox?
I like the percentage. I'm not sure if they add up to 100, but it does tell me at least where.
Based on historic files, it's, we roughly put an hour on each file, give or take. Some are going to be more, some are going to be less. On average, it's an hour. So that's how I come up with these figures, but
Anything else?
Well, I did have a question. So when you're doing provincial issues,
yeah.
what percentage would you say of provincial issues, offenses, would be in there?
A percentage of their time is on potential, so.
Yeah, of the.
That's going to be based on how many vehicles we stop or how many tickets we write. So it's
50%, you think?
I wouldn't say it'd be less than 50.
25?
More than 25.
So probably 30.
So
Third.
like when we're doing our patrols, if we're doing an active patrol, we're looking for obviously the bylaws, and whatever we happen to notice in provincial stuff. That's when we stop the person or vehicle and then deal with it. It could vary. There's gonna be at times we pick up a drunk, so to speak. That's gonna take, depending on how it goes, on average, an hour, hour and a half.
Okay. And is this is basically the same for both officers?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, we do our patrols, and we have a check sheet, we do. Every day we do our check sheet. If we catch a dog, or if we write a bylaw ticket, we do a check on that. And that's how I'm basing these figures on that. And provincial too, like if we write a ticket for no insurance, or unregistered vehicle, or speeding, we do a check. We do a check,
Okay.
so.
And the percentage, I got one more
Go ahead.
question. The percentage for provincial offenses, the fines, how much of that money comes to the town when you write a ticket on a provincial offense?
Everything except the victim service charge, which is 15%,
Okay. And if it's a bylaw, we get
100%.
100%. Okay, that's all I have.
Councillor Gilroy.
I'm not trying to make this look even harder for you, but when I'm looking at this, I heard that, Michael. But when I look at this, I don't see how much of your time is also spent on Blair and Donnelly for the month. And it would be nice just to see that little bit in there, unless I'm missing something here. Because I know you guys work very hard.
The breakdown?
The breakdown, like you've got percentage of
Oh, okay.
different things, and I'm sure it's probably at least 10% of your time is doing those extra patrols for the county and for Falera and for Donnelly and that. So it'd be kind of nice if we could just add that in there. We'll let you go for 110% if you'd like.
Yeah, I can make that adjustment.
It just shows how valuable you are.
Councillor Danaka.
Thank you very much for the percentages, I appreciate that. I just have a couple questions. The house on 53rd, that's the one across from the hospital, is that done now?
Yes.
Okay, I thought so.
Yeah.
And my other question is, active patrols complaints, 25%, complaints that are phoned in, peace officers dealing with them. Are the types of complaints, excuse me, the bylaw enforcement, unsightly dogs, etc., or are there other types of complaints that are being called in by citizens?
Yeah, it's,
Like, is there a certain type, like, are they calling more for dog issues, are they calling more for noise issues, are they calling for unsightly issues?
it's usually the dogs or the unsightly, we get more of those,
Okay, perfect, thank you.
So I just wanted to confirm what Mayor Cox had asked you about was the provincial offences.
Yes.
So we do provincial offences because we need to help the RCMP. Do they need that extra assistance? Like, do you feel like that's, it seems to have, that has gone from bylaw enforcement to more peace officer enforcement, right? So now we're doing more provincials.
It's basic assisting them. They're doing the more in-depth stuff, criminal code. So we're just assisting with the traffic, which they at times don't have the manpower or the bodies to do it. So they're shorthanded sometimes with people going on courses or health issues or maternity leave, stuff like that. So
Okay, yeah.
we just pick up the slack.
And of the fees, then we do collect the majority of it. See, I was
Yes.
under the assumption that it was a provincial ticket, that it would be going to the province.
No, whatever municipality it's wrote in goes to that municipality.
But if the RCMP writes the ticket,
It's here.
doesn't matter. So it's paid to the municipality, all of that?
Yep.
All of the
Other
traffic
than-
offenses? All the traffic offenses are paid to the municipality?
Other than the victim surcharge or victim, yeah, surcharge.
Okay, I got a couple calls about, helmets again.
Okay,
And with, it was sort of in that time of year where we're back to school. I did talk to my neighbor who is, acting commander, staff, I don't know what his role is with the RCMP, Paul, Landville,
Yeah.
is it?
yeah.
And he said the RCMP would be more than willing to help out with a blitz of, stopping and kicking out children that don't have helmets on, because unless there's another way to deal with the helmet of, the helmet bylaw not being, handled
Okay,
properly.
we had a 3-hour session there with brain injury and Alberta Health Services in June, just for that fact, to promote the use of helmets. We can continue doing that.
No, and I think that's awesome. I think you guys are doing a great job of trying to use positive reinforcement.
Be
and-
proactive instead of,
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think that sometimes you just gotta kick their butts right off there.
And we
they're
do, and-
they're regularly there without a helmet. Like tonight on my way here, there was 5 kids, no helmets. On my way home today earlier, everybody had a helmet on. So it's
Yeah,
just sort of,
it's-
it's just sort of hit and miss.
Yeah.
So if we were to, to sort of blitz it a bit, and when the kids are coming back into town and going to school and using it more regularly, if we can remind them that we're not going to put up with, if you don't have a helmet, you don't use the park. And if the RCMP are on side, then as they drive by, they stop and do the same thing.
right, yeah.
I don't know, but there's a lot of people that are concerned, they're afraid for the one injury we're gonna deal with.
And yeah, it's not a matter of, it's gonna
Yeah,
happen.
it's gonna happen, exactly.
But,
So I don't know if that's something that you guys wanna consider, but maybe chat
Yeah,
with
I'll-
them and see, but.
we'll do another information thing, and they have helmets they hand out too, so.
Are you guys actually kicking them off them?
Every so often the repeat offenders, like, we'll give them a warning, say go home, get your helmet, or next time we see you, you leave until you get one. But they're not stupid, they'll sit in the back alley and wait till we're
Right,
done.
but so if they know that if you went through that period where there was gonna be a lot of kids getting kicked off on a regular basis, they might just say, fine, I'll wear a helmet, or I'll just go away. Because I think that, talk to other parents in the community, and they say it's hard to get their kids to wear a helmet because of the kids that won't.
Yes, yeah.
So the only thing we can do is enforce the bylaw. Unless anybody has any other, thoughts?
Well, I'm hesitant to really come down hard on these kids. I mean, this is, their recreation facility, and I know that they should be wearing helmets, but to actually go in and play the heavy and say, get out because, you don't have a helmet, I think that's a little bit much. What obviously, Councillor Bloom and his, partner have done, and what the RCMP is doing is, I feel, as much as we can do. We've had brain injury there. The Recreation Board is supposed to be looking into a programming issue, but I don't see, it's almost the end of summer, so I'm not sure if anything's gonna happen there. But I do know that there are a lot of adults that are talking to those children. I think it's pretty heavy-handed just to walk in and say, go home. I prefer that the repeat offenders are targeted. What's happening, I think, is as much as at this point. But myself, I don't think it's something that we want to get in the middle of.
Councillor Gilroy.
The mayor just mentioned 2 or 3 different groups. Is anything planned by any of those groups, whether it's rec board or the RCMP or your safety group you were involved with, or you guys, to put something into the schools since the school starts in like, a week and a half? Is there anything planned with the schools to remind them when they get back to school that this is an important thing that they need to take care of?
Well, that can go along with the brain injury and Alberta Health Services. Going in and making presentations to the children. They do, it'd be nice to have a bike rodeo type thing to help out too, but, like I said, it's getting to the end of the summer, but we can work on that.
From a liability standpoint, when we have a bylaw and we don't enforce it and something happens, are we gonna be more responsible? So if we don't want this action, like if we don't want to say, we have a bylaw, please leave because you're not wearing your helmet. There's a sign that says wear a helmet, obviously you're disregarding it, so you will have to leave. If we don't wanna go to that extreme, do we just change the bylaw?
I don't think I said don't enforce the bylaw. I said don't go in and kick everybody off the facility because they're repeatedly not wearing a helmet. No, because we're walking in and saying get off, you're not wearing a helmet. I'm saying what they're doing appears to be working. Target the repeat offenders. Make the others aware through education process that they should be wearing a helmet and continue this process. I would prefer to see that and see the facility being used than to wait until the police are gone and, okay, now we can come back out again. At least, I think the way that they're being handled now shows that our concern, shows that we are following the bylaw and we continue to be concerned. Again, I'm not sure what the Recreation Board, as the chair, have you heard anything? No. So, you know, that's another avenue that we're trying to educate the children to use helmets. So, bike rodeo, I mean, we could still continue to look at that in the first couple of weeks of September even, and enforce helmets there. Because you don't tell a child to go home that's riding a bike with no helmet. You've never done that. It's the same thing. I mean, do we stop kids on the street and say go home because you're not allowed to ride your bike and get off and walk at home? We don't do that. We try to educate them to be responsible. Councillor Danaka?
I was just going to say with the with the skate park, it's going to be an ongoing issue. We'll never get 100% compliance, and I'm not sure what the answer is for that. At one point I was even thinking if we were getting poor compliance to shut it down for a couple weeks, maybe they'll get the message then. I don't know. This is going to be an ongoing thing. And as far as the helmets with youngsters on bikes, my understanding it's a provincial law. If you're under 18, you have to have a helmet when you ride a bike. So, I mean, so we're kind of letting that go as well. So, you know, you have to kind of find a balance.
Councillor Courtly?
I think they're on the right track with the education lines. I mean, you can only, if you put up the warnings, you explain the warnings, you explain the outcomes that can happen, try to give them education. You're dealing with a whole group of youth that you know, we don't even understand what they're in the sport that they're in, and their peers that ride the skateboards and stuff. That's how they do it. So, I mean, I think if we can give them all the tools and they still choose not to, I think that's kind of the way it is. But I think we're covered ourselves by doing that, by making sure that, you know, we explain it, show them the bylaw, show them the signs, show them the education, and then you know, it's just what it is with the skateboard park, I think.
Not to sort of drag this on, but I have, there's this skateboard thing is not new, right? There's been skateboarders for years and years and years. And my son was part of a skateboard group as well in this community, as well as a snowboard group. And the ski hills and the snowboard or the skateboard facilities that enforced helmets, they wore them out. And if they weren't enforced, they didn't wear them at them, right? If they could get away with it, yeah, they didn't really want to wear them, right? So it's just like a little smoky when they enforce the rules, the kids actually put them on, and they told them they couldn't go down that slide if they didn't have a helmet on. The helmets came out and they used them, right? And so they were better examples. All I'm suggesting is if we put a little bit of pressure on once in a while, they actually see there's a bylaw in place and that we are going to enforce it. So maybe they're more apt to be willing to put the helmet on, and that may help the families that are calling in that are struggling getting their kids to wear the helmets.
Education.
Any other questions for Councilor Lee? Do you have anything else?
No, there's no more questions.
All those in favor of accepting his report? Carries. Thank you. August 9th, August 9th, regular council meeting minutes. Have a motion from Donna?
Make a motion that council approve the minutes from the August 9th, 2016 regular meeting of council as presented.
Any omissions, deletions? All those in favor? Carried. Financial report. Page 17. Welcome, Ms. Speed. Do I have a motion? Councilor Danaka.
I make a motion that council receive the financial report for August 2016 as presented for information.
Welcome, Terry. Hello. When I did this up, I wasn't sure if I'd get it all done. I figured, well, you guys will at least have part of it. I wound up finishing it, and this is what you have in front of you here. So all the departments are in there. The totals are on the front page. There was a few totals in the sheets that are in your package that the totals themselves, not the line by line, but the totals themselves, the formula was wrong and the totals were wrong. So those were changed and everything else is put together for you. You've got your budget for this year on a line by line item. This is the format I'll be using next month when we start working on the 2017.
Councilor Panasic.
I just want to be clear now, is this, when I was looking at the package, I wasn't sure if this was where we were actually at and at what date we were at that, because I didn't see the sort of the date on here of what date this was. So I wasn't sure if, you know, it says this was the budget approved on April 5th, but it doesn't say that this was a summary as of this date. So I wasn't sure that this was the latest and the greatest as of this date. So I'd really like to see.
Okay, this isn't the summary. This is just the budget. This has nothing to do with the actuals of this year. This is the budget that you guys approved with Herman, but the format that it was on the computer was very hard to figure out which department was which, because all the categories of revenues were separated differently than by department. He had all the sale of goods in one section, he had all the grants in one section, so it was all by category, not by department. So when you tried to look at it, it was very hard and confusing for people to try to figure out, well, where is that? Where is it? And you had to scroll through about 15 pages worth of numbers to find it. And you guys never got a copy. Normally, right after the budget is approved, council gets a copy.
Okay.
But I was getting asked questions, even I couldn't answer because I couldn't figure it out in the format it was in. So since I was going to be doing this format anyways for your budget next month, I wound up doing this so that you guys had your numbers that you guys approved in April. This has nothing to do with the actuals day to day. The actuals will be given to you again. They were given to you a few weeks ago for the end of June, and next meeting you'll have it for the end of July, and I'll be doing that every month.
Okay, because that's what I was wondering about. It wasn't making sense to me when I was looking at this.
Yep, there's no actuals, it's just your budget.
Yeah, well,
And I didn't change any of the numbers, even the mistakes that were in there, I left them in as the budget was approved. So
so really the motion that we've made to accept the financials as of a certain date is not really a correct motion.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is, because this is a financial report. All the reports I give you are just that, they're reports. Financial statements is what I give you every month. So there's a bit of a difference with the naming there. Statements are the actuals that, with the numbers that are in there, but reports, I can give you a report with a bunch of graphs, I can give you a report like this, I can give you all kinds of reports.
Okay, I understand where you're coming from.
Any other questions? Mayor Fox?
Actually, I like this format because it does give me the, with amortization and without amortization. And you don't need 60 pages of one report and 60 of another. So,
The one thing you will notice in there, that there was a few mistakes, like I said. One of the mistakes you'll be pleased to see, for some reason, there was an extra line in there for a counselor that is no longer with us, and there was $12,000 budgeted for that person. So you guys have an extra $12,000 to spend.
Did anyone have any other questions?
I'm just glad the mayor's happy with it finally.
So this is the format that I used when I was here before, and even the one treasurer after me continued this format also. So it's a format that's worked for many years for me in many other jobs.
Well, thank you very much, Chair. Okay, all those in favor of accepting the report? Carried.